fellow diamond painting addicts, and welcome back to Diamond Painting Anonymous. I'm Daphne, and I'm here for this week's Whip and Chat. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. WIP, W-I-P, stands for Work in Progress, and this is mine. You are welcome and encouraged to go grab whatever you are working on and work alongside while I chat. Or alternatively, you can treat this as a podcast and just listen while I chat. Today, I am going to be working on my Heaven and Earth design. So let me zoom into where I'm going to be working and I will be right back. Let me jump into my regular life. Let me just start there. What's been going on in my regular life? I mean, enough, I guess. Let's see, what's gone on the last time since I talked to you? Hubby and I went and played pickleball again. We left a little bit early because they were running us through more drills and stuff. My knee was hurting, hubby's hip was hurting, so we didn't end up staying for the whole 3 hours. We're probably going to go one more time. And then the lady that I've been talking to who volunteers with me, she runs a group and she's like, you just needed to take one lesson so you kind of understood the rules and then you could have joined my group. And she's like, we're really laid back. We just get together to have fun and play. And she's like, I'm not there to be super athletic, because I was telling her that there was a few people at the last practice that were kind of intense. And she's like, no, this is just to have fun. And she said, when I play, if the ball goes over my head, I'm not running after it. I just miss it. We all have a good laugh and that's the end of it. So I'm hoping that we will be able to go do that lessons kind of one more time just to kind of cement some of my understanding, and then we will join her group, hopefully, because we do enjoy it. But she said, yeah, her sessions are only an hour to an hour and a half versus the 3 hours that they're doing with the people who are trying to learn. And I know that's because they're trying to teach people skills and that kind of thing, but anyway, we'll see. So I did have my meeting with all of my volunteer people. I made my no-bake cookies, and they all assured me that no, they'd never heard of frogs either, and I actually had a couple of them ask me for the recipe for my no-bake cookies, so I will be sharing the recipe with a couple of people. Yeah, so we'll see. We actually had a couple of new people who might be volunteering to tutor, so that was exciting. There's a new project. I still need to finish my old project, which was the inventory, but then I will be trying to facilitate some meetups between some of the learners so that they can get together and practice their English with each other and not just with people who are native speakers. Because I think it gets to be a little bit intimidating and you feel like maybe you're not doing very well, but you're judging yourself against people who've been speaking a language for their entire lives. So anyway, I hope it'll be helpful. We'll see. We took my youngest to the eye doctor to get his eyes dilated. It took forever. I think we were there for 3 hours almost. But my husband pointed out they were probably extra busy because they were trying to fit in all the people that they canceled on the day that it was bad weather. And I was like, well, that's probably true. I didn't think about that. But she wants to refer him to an eye specialist because she doesn't think it's an issue, but she wants to have some more in-depth scanning done and somebody that has more experience than she does to look at it. She thinks maybe there are some spots in the back of his eye that are too thin. Could just be that that's how his eyes are. And I actually was thinking about that because we have genetically bad teeth in my family. I've talked about that before. And my brother is almost legally blind in one eye. The other eye is fine, but one of them he's almost legally blind. So he's had to wear really thick glasses, as has my youngest. And so I wondered if this was another instance of that's part of the family genes, you know? So we'll wait to get the call from the specialist and find out what the specialist says after he's been seen. Nothing urgent, she said, just something she wants to have checked out. So there was that. And then I think I told you guys last time that hubby's kind of gotten me hooked on cold brew. I got to figure out a way to do it so that it's not so much sugar. I mean, we buy zero sugar creamer, but some of the cold brew that you get has a lot of sugar in it already. And I add extra creamer because I don't like the taste of coffee that much. He bought me one that was like a cold brew with caramel in it that I really loved, but it was way too sugary. And I was like, okay, don't buy any more of these because I don't need this much sugar. But he bought a new cold brew machine. Well, it's a coffee machine that will do cold brew. So far, the one time he's made it, I was like, it tastes too much like coffee. It's not got enough cream or whatever in it for me. So I don't know. It just feels like a weird rite of passage that I'm finally drinking coffee, even if it's sugary coffee, because I just avoided it for so many years. Too much caffeine. I didn't like the taste. I mean, I guess if you add enough creamer to anything, it tastes good, but definitely want to try and find some decaf options too. So I'm going to have to limit myself to one a day, even if we're doing the low sugar version. And we went to dinner last week for a family birthday. And when we got there, my brother in law is tapping his maple trees already so he can get ready for syrup season. So he can start tapping the trees. And we're certainly having enough up and down weather for it. We are back in Kansas too, where my oldest is living. It was like 40 degrees one day, and it's supposed to, then it was 90, and then it was back down to in the 50s. I'm like, this weather is crazy. And here it was in the 60s one day, and the next day we had snow and then rain because it warmed up enough that it wasn't really snow anymore. And then it snowed overnight. So the first day of spring when we woke up to snow, which is kind of crazy. Everyone keeps saying we're still going to have a couple of good snowstorms in March, but I don't know. They're having that heat bomb or whatever it is they call it over parts of the US right now. So, I mean, 90 where I'm from in March is unheard of. It gets that hot in July and August, but not in March. I can't imagine if it's this hot already what July and August are going to be like. We're also going up tonight for another family dinner. We're having lots of family dinners, which is nice, I guess. We got invited up for, I forget what now, but some sort of dinner. And then next week, we're going out to a restaurant for my sister-in-law's birthday, which we're doing early because she's going to be out of town on her actual birthday. And then my husband and I are going to drive her to the airport so that her husband doesn't have a long drive after his surgery while he's still recuperating. It's not going to be as bad as we thought. They were going to be closing the main way that we would take, and it was going to add quite a bit of time, but they have postponed the construction that they were going to be doing, so we don't have to leave as early as we thought, which will be nice, because it was going to add like an extra hour to the trip, because we have to go across a river, and there's only so many ways to go across. And while we're taking her to this town, we're going to visit some of my husband's family that's in that town, see everybody. We might make trip of it and stay overnight, but we haven't decided that for sure yet. I don't know if our dogs are ready for us to be gone overnight. We haven't left them overnight since we got them. I mean, my son will still be here, but they sleep with my husband and I don't think my son's going to want them to sleep with him, so it may be interesting if we decide to do that. Also, we found out that another family member may be coming to live temporarily with my mother-in-law. We have a family member who her partner may be getting a different job and he's going to be training. So rather than paying for two places, she'll come stay with my mother-in-law while her partner rents wherever he's going to have to be for his training, so that they're not paying rent on two places. I'm not sure how that's going to go. They've got animals they're talking about splitting up too. So they have a dog and two cats. And the dog is for sure going with the granddaughter, but the cats may be going with the partner. So I don't know. Not that my mother-in-law would mind having the cats, but they're kind of the partner's cats. So he may want them with him. It'd be interesting to see how difficult that is. We were talking at my meeting today about one of the learners was going to be gone for a couple of weeks. She lives here, but her husband lives in Quebec. So he was coming down for a visit over Easter. That must be really hard to be separated like that. I did that for a while. My husband was working someplace else and only coming home on the weekends, which was not fun, but you got to do what you got to do, right? I think it'll be nice to have the granddaughter around, though. She's a hoot, and I think it would be fun to have her stay here. She's actually talked about moving back here before, but her partner had a nice job in Ontario and didn't want to move down here with kind of nothing else lined up. And I don't know if his new job would be, something he gets to pick, or if he just gets assigned. I don't understand how it all works, but anyway, yeah, so lots of stuff going on. We'll just have to see how things go and what works out. My oldest is going to be heading back to work after spring break. She was super excited. She'd gotten new tires on her car, and when she got the new tires put on, they told her that she needed to get the car aligned. I got a text from her one morning saying that she hated cars, and I was like, oh no. And I hadn't seen the text right away. So, mom mode, I'm like, oh no, did she have a car accident? What's going on? Did the car not start again? Did it break down? So I sent her a text and said what happened. She was driving on her way to work, and it's dark when she's heading to work. She has to get there before all the students. And she noticed she had a headlamp out. So she's panicking all the way to work that she's going to get pulled over for having a headlamp out. And I'm like, most of the time, they're not going to pull you over for that. I mean, they can, but most people don't. And I told her, even if you got pulled over, you just have to get it fixed and then take it in and prove that you got it fixed, and that would be the end of it. But cars aren't her thing, just like they're not my thing. I mean, typically, she would have just called my husband, and my husband would have gone and changed it for her. But I was like, well, go here, see what kind of part you need. And she was apparently talking to some of the people that she works with in the school where she works has a vocational, like, automotive class. So that teacher came to her, I heard it through the grapevine, I guess, came to her and said, I'll go and look and see if I have the right bulb. If I do, I'll change it for you. So he went and looked. He luckily had the right kind of bulb for her car, and he very graciously changed out both of them for her, both headlamps, and didn't charge her anything. So she was super excited that it was all taken care of, that she didn't have to rely on anybody else. She had gotten it taken care of it herself, sort of, and that it didn't cost her anything. And I said, well, because I had told her just whatever the headlamps cost, they shouldn't be that expensive. And my husband had said, well, if she takes it to an automotive store where she buys the headlamps, they might be willing to change it for her. But this automotive guy had them in his supplies, so he just changed them for her. And he told her that because she mentioned that she needed the alignment, and I think she was just asking him if he knew where she could take it. Because it's hard to find a trustworthy mechanic. The two that we had when we were living there have gone out of business. And it's so hard to tell sometimes, especially if you don't really know a lot about cars, whether or not you're getting cheated or whether they're breaking more things when they're fixing others. And I know not all people are like that, but some are. So it's always a fear. So she was excited. This was a guy she knows. He works there, he's a teacher there. And he said he would be willing to do the alignment for her because it would be something that he could do with the class and turn it into a lesson for the class. So she let him take the car, and he and his students did the alignment on it for her. And I told her, I said, if he charges you anything, let me know. And she's like, well, I don't think he's going to. He hasn't said. But she's like, if he does, I'll tell you. And I'm like, okay. I said, just make sure that you tell him thank you and buy him a coffee or something. And I mean, I'm sure he was pleased to be able to have something kind of real life relevant for them to practice on. But she was super tickled to be able to find somebody to do it for her on her own. So, I mean, it was the rumor mill at school, but still, she was proud of herself, and I was excited for her. I probably don't tell her that enough, that I'm proud of her, but I am. She's an awesome human being, and I like to think I had a little bit to do with that for both my kids. Okay, what else was I going to tell you? Oh, the last thing that I was going to mention to you guys, my husband and I were sitting on the couch watching TV, and all of a sudden we realized Oscar is staring up at almost at the ceiling, and we're like, what is he doing? It's like he's watching something, and we can't see anything, couldn't figure out what he was looking at. So we just sat there and kind of ignored it, and then he's doing it again. I'm like, what is he looking at? And of course, my husband's making jokes. Oh, he sees a ghost. And then we realize there's a fly in the window, behind the window shade. Don't know where it came from. Told my husband we need to pour bleach down our drains again. Last year we had like an invasion of them. We poured bleach down the drains, never saw another one. we would always find them in the windows. I'm like, are they coming in through the windows? Where are they coming from? I decided it was through the drains, and I had a plumber in an older house tell me one time with an older house. He's like, I'm not supposed to tell you to do this, but he's like, I do it at my own house. If you start getting a bunch of flies, pour bleach down your drains. It'll kill the eggs and then they won't hatch. And I'm like, okay. And I've done it several times and it's worked. So take that as you will. I am not an expert, just sharing something that has worked for me. I don't know anything about pipes. Use at your own risk. Anyway, Oscar's watching this fly. I was actually filming another video and my husband stops me, honey, you've got to come here and watch this. And he pulled the window shade up and Oscar had gotten the fly, but he's just playing with it. You know how cats play with stuff they find sometimes? He would like have it in his mouth and then he'd spit it out, and the fly was still alive. He damaged its wings because it was just crawling, but then he would pick it up and put it in his mouth and then he would kind of make a face and spit it out again. I'm just like, he didn't quite know what to make of it. So it was just really funny. He's been kind of crazy. I think he and Sable both are starting to get spring fever. She's been a little more animated than usual lately, too. We'll see if I manage to get any decent video of them this week. Okay, I think that's everything that I wanted to tell you about my regular life, I think. I'm sure I'll think of something else and then I'll just throw it in there. But anyway, let's talk about what's going on in my diamond painting life. First and foremost, once again, I have too many projects going on. I keep trying to convince myself that working on more than one project at a time is something I can do, and I prove myself wrong every time. So I don't know why I keep trying to do it, because I just end up making myself crazy. However, there's been a couple of different reasons for my crazy this time, besides just the fact that I have multiple whips going on. So I did finish my cross-stitch conversion with the little stamps. I think it turned out really well. I had a lot of fun doing it. I'm actually looking forward to doing more cross-stitch conversions. Like I said in that video, it just opens up kind of a whole new world, to quote Ariel. Is it a whole new world? Is that her? Is it Ariel? Now I don't know. Anyway, having the ability to choose from anything that I can find a pattern for is amazing. Someone asked why I did rounds instead of squares. It's because Diamond Dots only makes blank canvases for rounds, because for the longest time they didn't do square kits. And I did go out and look on their website. I could not find where they make blank square canvases. So I will have to source those from someplace else. I know Heaven and Earth sells blank canvases. I'm pretty sure Jaded Gem Shop sells them. I think you can probably get them from some of the budget companies, but I don't know what kind of sizes they do, if like they only have like set sizes, or if you can request a certain size depending on the pattern that you're going to do. I don't know how all that works, but anyway. So I'm excited about that because that opens up lots more projects rather than just limiting me to what is available from companies, because there are so many times where I go through and I look at something and I'm like, oh, that would make a cool diamond painting, but nobody offers it. Or conversely, as has happened for the last couple of years, a lot of the new releases that are coming out from diamond painting companies just aren't stuff I'm interested in. So having the ability to kind of pick and choose from other things that I want to work on would be great. So that was one project complete. And then I was going to move on to doing my Bella Art Diamond Aquarius one, because it was the next biggest in size. And I thought, well, I'll just do that one. However, and I'll show you that at the end of the video, I've run into a headache with it and it's making me crazy. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I feel what I'm afraid of is that I'm going to need to, well, I'll share that when I get to the end. Anyway, the cross-stitch conversion, I asked about the gaps. People thought the stamps looked really cool. And then a lot of you suggested filling in the blank spots with white drills so that it was a straight edge and then cutting around that. I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to do the mica or glitter. I don't have any of those, so I'd have to buy some. So I may just frame them and leave it at that. If they're behind glass, then I don't need to do the mica, but we'll see. Maybe I'll hang on to them until I do all 20 out of the series, because there's 20 different landmarks. There's 20 different patterns I could do. So yeah, if anybody knows of a non-US source, because like I said, Heaven and Earth Designs and I know Jaded Gem Shop sell the blank canvases, but I don't know. Those are both US companies. I don't know what extra fees might be for me. So if there's a non-US source that anybody knows about, share down in the comments. So I've still been working on the teacup, but I've also been working on this one. However, this one is making me a little bit nuts. It's actually going pretty well. Like her hand is recognizable. I've done the section with her, most of her necklace. This part right here that I'm working on is kind of the bottom part of her neck under her chin. But I have 6 colors that I don't have enough of, and the one I just did is one of them. Or at least I'm not sure if I have enough of them. So I'm kind of waiting to see what happens to see whether or not I have enough of them to finish everything. But I definitely don't think that I am going to finish this kit by the end of March, which is, I mean, I went into it thinking that I wouldn't be able to finish it, but that this is going to be a lot of hours that I won't get to. I mean, I'll get to include them in April, but it's just, yeah. I mean, I know I've had other things going on and I haven't diamond painted sometimes when I've had the time, so it's my own fault. And I have pulled out my light pad with this one because over here in this section, when I get into some of the darker colors, it's harder to see. Especially in here, it's not so bad because I can turn on my bright filming lights and I can kind of see what I'm doing. But if I'm diamond painting in the living room, which is where I do a lot of it, then it's a little bit harder to see with just my desk lamp. So I do have a very small light pad that I can put underneath it for those darker spots. But like over here where I've got a lot of light things, light colors, I don't really need it for that. And it's going really well. The drills are a little bit gappy in places. They're not perfect, but I am using up spares, which was the whole point, right? And as I use all these up, then I can start saving, in theory, new ones, leftovers from newer kits, which should be better quality drills. Because a lot of these are, I mean, drills that I saved from 5 years ago, some from licensed companies, but some from budget companies. And so their drills aren't always the greatest. And of course, I've got different die lots shoved in here. And so trying to figure out which one to use, which one do I have the most of for the section that I'm working on. I do think it's working out because this is so confetti heavy that, like, if I use this shade for this L symbol here and then I use a different shade somewhere else, you can't really tell because they're not right next to each other. And some are all one shade, so but it's been going okay. I think it looks good so far. It is a tad bit gappy, like I said, but this is an older kit in and of itself. This is something I bought back in 2021, the canvases, so people have made improvements on how they do all of that as well. Grids have been tightened up to match the size of the drills better. The consistency of the sizing of the drills, the quality of the drills has gotten better over the years. And of course, now you have all kinds of fancy pants drills that you can buy, the ABs, the special shape drills, the fairy dust drills, all that fancy stuff. But also that was something that excited me about doing more cross stitch conversions too, was I could use up some of these drills that I've been hanging on to. Because honestly, if I'm not using them for a project, then why am I saving them? I might as well just figure out something else to do with them. I wish there was a recycling center for stuff like this. I know a lot of regular recycling centers don't want stuff like this because it's small pieces and it can get gummed up in their machines and it's not really the kind of waste they're looking to recycle, but I wish there was a way to recycle it. One of my I wish I'd known things about how much plastic waste it is, or can be, I guess. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. So this one is going, the actual drilling of it is going okay, I think. I'm just worried that I'm not going to have enough drills to finish. Although someone did send me a website that I knew about but I've forgotten about. We were talking about it in the context of cross-stitch conversions, but basically you can go enter a DMC code and then it will give you DMCs that you can substitute for that one. They're never an exact match, of course, but pretty close. And for a kit like this, where, like I said, this section of L's, if I have L's up in the upper left corner and these aren't exactly the same shade, nobody will ever know but me because they'll be too far apart from each other to tell. So I did that with some of my cross stitch colors because I didn't have every shade that my pattern called for in leftover drills. So I would just go on that website, enter the code that I didn't have, and then it gives you a list of like 6 or 8 substitutions that you can use. for other colors, and I would just pick the one that I thought was the closest to it. And that's a subjective thing. And in the cross stitch conversions that I was doing, they were such small projects that it wasn't a big deal. Something like this big of a project, I might order drills if I had to do it all again. Of course, there is something to be said if I get a pattern and I know it's something I'm going to be doing, then I can mark down what drills I need and start saving just those colors for my leftover drills. But it's easier just to save all of them, right? Because you never know what kind of project you're going to be working on, so who knows what colors you're going to need. It does feel good to be using them up because they've just been sitting in boxes for years, literally, with me doing nothing with them but adding to them sometimes. So using them up on the cross stitch conversion, using them up on this feels good. And I think I asked before if any of you thought you'd be up to trying a project like this, and lots of you said, no, 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 way out of my wheelhouse. And that's perfectly fine, but don't just skip it out of fear. Like start with something small, like the little cross stitch patterns that I was doing with the landmarks or something. You don't have to start with something this huge. This project came about because this was me at the beginning when I very first started diamond painting, looking at everything and going, oh, I want to try that, I want to try that, I want to try this, I want to try that, and buying all of the things, which I shouldn't have done. But that's how you learn, right? Somebody made the comment not too long ago that they got really frustrated because it seemed like they would see a kit that they liked, and then when they would go try to find it, it would no longer be in stock. And I think that's part of what the appeal of the cross stitch conversions is. Like if you can get a pattern for it, then as long as you have the pattern, you can do that kit whenever you want, right? You don't have to worry about, oh, it's out of stock, it's been discontinued, it's been archived, and haunting D-stash groups trying to find somebody that has it so you can get your hands on it or whatever. Trying to see if I have any more L's in here, because invariably what happens is I look it over 3 or 4 times and think, oh, okay, I got all of them. And then as soon as I put the color up, I'm like, oh, there's that one right there I just missed. See, like I just saw one right there. So I am going to spend, oh my gosh, you guys, I just put all those on the wrong color. See, this is what I get for talking, because, and if any of you were yelling at me, telling me that it was not an L symbol, thank you, because I certainly was paying absolutely no attention. Now I have to figure out, I know all these over here were L's that are not that color. See, I was going to pick the L, and then I decided I was going to do a second color, and then while I got busy talking, I forgot that I had picked the second color, and now I have to pick all of these off because I did it completely wrong. And I wish I could say this is the first time I've done this on this kit, but it isn't. It's at least the third that I remember. When you get really confetti heavy kits, it's easy to get distracted and not realize what you're doing. And I think I remember most of the ones down here, but when I get up into here, that's going to be fun. So yeah, I guess you guys can watch me unplace drills this time. How fun is that going to be? Okay, I think most of these were not L's, were they? They were that other color. I think these are L's over here. Yikes. And then, of course, sometimes they go flying and I don't know where they went. And then I'm trying to put it back where it goes because I didn't need to pick it up. I think that one's fine. It's these more orangey looking ones that I'm looking for. This one right here. Well, this probably isn't the most exciting video now, but this is the reality of diamond painting, right? Sometimes we make mistakes. And see, they're so close in color that sometimes it's hard to tell which ones you placed incorrectly. There's one that went flying. It's always amazing to me how I don't see where they went flying. And then I pick it up and I'm like, literally, oh, it was right there. I wish there was an easier way to pull all these off. Then, of course, if they didn't stick well, then they would fall off when you were moving the diamond painting around, wouldn't they? Hopefully I'm almost done picking these all off. I think one of those went flying onto the floor. Hubby did get me a new rug for in here, so hopefully now I don't just lose them on the wood floor. I can actually see where some of them go so I can find them later. Oh, you guys, I'm sorry this is not the most exciting whip and chat, but it is true to life, right? Rather than making you sit here while I pull a bunch of these off, and then I will show you what is wrong with my Bella Art Diamonds kit. I don't think it's anything wrong with the kit. I just can't figure out what it is that I did. So let me grab that and I will be right back. Okay, so I didn't get nearly as much done here as I wanted to because I had to pull a bunch of those off, but that's okay. Let me just cover this back up before I accidentally lay paper or something on it and have things get stuck. Okay, so let's take a look real quick at my Aquarius teacup. And I am sure this is something that I've done, but their square drills usually fit together so nicely. Everything is so nice and even. But what I'm finding as I get here and I'm moving over to the edge, like I should be able to fit 2 drills here, but everything is not aligned for some reason. And I find that when I'm getting over to the edge here, I don't have enough room to put, like, there's more room than just 1 drill, but not enough for 2. And I don't know what I've done because up until this point, as I was working my way from left to right, everything was matching up. All of these fit in there fine. So I don't know where I've gotten off at. And so I'm to the point where I feel like it's this bottom section down here. Somehow I've gotten off somewhere. Let me zoom in so hopefully you guys can see. If you can see this section right here, like it looks like either if this comes over to the right, if I shift everything over to the right, then I have a big gap right here. That doesn't look good. And I've gotten to the point where I've tried shifting everything like 10 rows or so over, and it doesn't look good. So I don't know what I've done. And I'm afraid I just need to pull all of this off and kind of start over because maybe somewhere I've put in one too many drills or something. But I've never had this happen to me before. And Bella Art's kits are usually so nice and everything else has been fitting together so well. I feel like it's my fault somehow and I don't know how to fix it. So if any of you have any insight, even if it's just to tell me that yes, I need to pull everything off, I'm going to put my light pad under it and see if I can tell if I've gotten off somewhere down here, if like my lines don't quite match the way that they appear to, because I do have some drills that aren't seated quite correctly, so maybe that will help. It's such a dark color, it's hard to see, so I thought maybe if I got the light pad out, I'd be able to tell a little bit better. So if any of you have any suggestions, would love to hear them. That's why I've kind of stalled out on working with this one because I got so frustrated. I decided I was going to head over to the other side and work my way over here again and just ignore this section until I got some more of it finished, because this is only the end of the first row. So I was feeling pretty discouraged about that one and then came back to work on this one, but this one has its own issues. I'm further along in this one. Don't know if you can see all of it, but here's a couple of her fingers and here's the necklace that she's holding. There's the little pendant at the end of the necklace. So I think it's going okay. It is a little bit gappy, like I said, but I think it's going okay. And I do feel good that these are all, like I said, spare drills that are getting used up. That feels good. All right, I think that's it for me. Yeah, any help about what I should do with the Aquarius one is appreciated, or anything else you guys want to comment on is fine too. Just let me know. Always happy to hear your thoughts. That's it for me today, guys. Sorry for all the rambling. Before you leave, don't forget to do all the things. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so that you can be informed of future uploads. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. And I think I managed to get some decent video of Sable this week. Check it out. Get her, Oscar. Get her. Get her. Get her. Get him, Sable. Oh my goodness, Sable. Is he being annoying? Get him. Get him. Oh my goodness. You have a voice on you, don't you? Oscar, quit trying to bite her leg. Yes, Sable's a good girl. Sable's a good girl. Yes. Sable's a good girl. Yes, Oscar, you're a good boy. Sable's a good girl. Are you two both so pretty? Oscar. Oscar, I can't get the camera back any further. No one can see you. No biting. Good girl, Sable. That's a good girl. Yes. Good boy, Oscar. Good boy. Now, there you look like a dachshund. Look at your cute little face.